Well, hello, and thank you for joining us on Women in Wealth. I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and I have a new friend with us. And can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do? I'm so excited for people to hear about you.
Hi, Regina. Thanks so much for inviting me on the show. Well, my name is Heike Yates, and my name is from Germany. So it usually ends up being spelled all kinds of different ways, but it's pretty close to Heike. So like people saying, take a Heike, reminds them of my name.
That's perfect. That's perfect. They'll
a
remember that too, right?
See, that's something to remember. And if I do this and I swear my arms around, they're like, oh yeah, that was the Heike thing.
I won't forget it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm a fitness and mindset coach for women in midlife. And I have been in the fitness industry as a whole for almost 40 years in one way or another, one fashion or another. I used to work at health clubs. Now I am owning my own brick and mortar studio here in Maryland, but I also have a brand that is an online brand for women in midlife. And that is called Pursue Your Spark, where I am trying to reach more women through, I know I'm dating myself now, but that's okay, through the ether, saying, hey, there is hope, there is help, there's somebody to talk to, and there are solutions to the problems that we go through as we go through midlife, starting primarily with menopause and going into perimenopause and all kinds of other craziness that's associated with that niche. But also when we look at our businesses, we're changing if you have kids, when the kids leave the house and you become an empty nester, what is your next career step? Or if you've never had kids, you may be up for another promotion before you eyeing the retirement. So there's different ways on what you look at, and I'm trying to help women with their health, their fitness, primarily with Pilates, intermittent fasting, and then also with their mindset, primarily thinking of the idea of, because mindset is such a big umbrella topic, with things, letting go of things that no longer serve us.
Wow. Wow. There's so much to unpack there. I don't even know where to start. Oh my goodness. All right. So what like made you go into this direction? Like you said, you've had this background for all these years. What helped you start focusing on women going through midlife?
I think that in every decade, I changed my audience. When I look back at my fitness career, I used to never exercise really seriously. And I said, oh my God, I do not want to be caught in the gym ever. I will not hop around in front of people doing these things that I see people do on social media. And then I had children. I wanted to get in shape. Then I primarily surrounded myself with women that were in the same shoes. Then I became a bodybuilder. And as a
Oh, wow.
bodybuilder, I looked for people that were interested in building big muscles, male or female. Again, you go to the next time where the kids leave the house. Where am I in that niche now? And at that time I had, it was just before that I had more time and I became an ultra marathon runner. And I said, oh, wouldn't it be great to run 50 miles?
Ooh.
So every decade or so, I started something different, or I became more interested in something, and I surrounded myself with that community into where I became an Ironman triathlete. And
Oh my
all my
gosh.
friends, and my interest was geared more towards men, women that are looking for this kind of competitive lifestyle. And as I got older, I'm still competitive, but I don't do these long distances anymore. My body has its aches and pains. I'm now 62, and I want to just be functional, strong. I want to have a good lifestyle with where I'm going in my life, and be really able to do the things I want to do, which is, one of them is traveling, and another one is, of course, run around with our granddaughter. And which is what we just did over Thanksgiving. We played at the playground, and she says, Oma, which is German for grandma. And she's like, get up on the slide. And I'm like, oh, do I have to really do this? And okay, so Oma went up on the slide. Oma went
Well,
down
you
on the
know
slide.
they're in charge, right? So yeah, you do.
And, and so I'm thinking, oh my goodness, are my
Oh.
knees going to hold up? I do have a really bad knee, which knock on wood is still holding pre-surgery. So I'm not ready yet, but my knee held up and I got great exercise. And that's one of the things I think that's why the midlife, it's a big umbrella because
Mhm.
we're also thinking, what is midlife? And I thought about this a lot. And I had a podcast guest on the Pursue Your Spark podcast, and or actually have me on his podcast. And we talked about the idea of when is midlife? Is it only from
Yeah.
50 to 80 or 40 to 90, or what describes midlife? And he really opened up my eyes about the age groups that I'm working with. Could be anybody from their mid 40s to their
Mhm.
late 80s. Usually when it gets to the 90s and up, we're looking for very different ways of exercising and eating and creating a more functional lifestyle for that age group. But until then, we're rocking it.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Such great like diversity of areas that you've focused on. Yeah. Wow. God bless you for running that much too. Holy mackerel. So my rule about running is if you see me running, there's somebody chasing me and they have a big weapon. So if you can outrun me, you're going to be better off than I will be.
Well, there we all have our incentives. Some run
Yes.
for chocolate,
Yes.
other run for
Yeah.
wine. You run away from the
I
sword
run
coming your way.
away. Yep, I run away. I'll get on a bike and exercise on a bike, but running, oh my God, my knees are so bad. There's just that just sounds so painful. But God bless you. I have a friend who just ran the New York, was it? Yeah, New York Marathon, and she's in her 70s, and God bless her. She kicked butt. She is like my hero.
Yeah. I also think that we forget that everybody ages differently. And for her in her 70s to do this race, a lot of things have to fall in place. The time to
Hmm.
train, the ability to train, the joints holding up, the goal of that person. Do I have a
Yeah,
time goal? How do I
right.
want to finish? Does it matter if I crawl across the finish line, or do I want to be upright and crawl, or instead of crawling?
Yeah.
It comes really down to how do we age, and everybody's so different. And when we look at social media, we're in awe by all these men and women that are well in their ages, and they're so active, so functional, so lean, so whatever. They don't have belly fat, it seems, and they have no achy joints. But there's always a story behind that, as I've learned. Is it's not all as great as it is made out to be. And I just finished watching the movie with Diane Nyad, Swimming from Cuba to Florida at,
Oh,
at
oh,
age
good.
65. Um, and,
Okay.
and she tried 5 times since her mid 30s, if I remember that correctly.
Wow.
And so they're showing her feet at age 65 and her messages. And that's my message to your listeners. If you're passionate about doing something, do it. Keep pursuing that passion. Like I always say, pursue your spark. What is your spark that you pursue in your life? You can do it. It looks different for everybody. Would I want to swim from Cuba to Florida? Probably not. I'll pass on
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
But it's a good example in our conversations that we all age differently. She had a very strong passion, a strong determination, very strong determination that she wanted to do this in her lifetime or die. I would not recommend that we're going that far, but I thought it was a very inspirational message saying you can do what you want. Fulfill your dreams. Don't measure it on somebody else's dreams.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
your dreams.
Right. And they have to be yours, not somebody else's version of yours. Absolutely. And that's why she was able to do it, because it was her desire, her passion driving her. And I know my friend, she did the marathon this year, but she was training for last year's and had an injury. and had to, redo everything. So obviously that's not easy. It's a lot of work. So the passion has to be real. You can't fake that.
No, no. Otherwise, you'd be so frustrated and you give up and you feel guilty. You feel like a loser. And it's definitely not something I would say. Please, please, please don't set high
Mm-hmm.
goals, but don't get discouraged. Be able to change course along the way. In
Mm-hmm.
my courses, I always teach baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
It start with the smallest. If you've never exercised, start with the smallest thing that strikes your fancy. If you like to walk, walk. If you say, Heike, I can't walk up the block, well, start with that. Your goal is to get up the block. Well, if you made it up the block a whole bunch of times, then maybe you go around it twice or 3 times, and make it small goals that you still feel pumped about to follow that goal, that you're not going, oh my God, after the first round, I'm so sore, I can't move, this stinks. But
Mm-hmm.
bite-sized pieces with whatever it is for your nutrition, for your exercise, that you can put one foot in front of the other to reach that big goal. And we talked about marathons and finishing
Yeah.
races, that big goal in the end. And it doesn't have to be a race. The big goal could be just you're super proud of yourself for actually doing what you said you would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. And that's
And
okay.
that's
You have to give yourself some grace, right?
absolutely, give yourself grace, but be determined. Don't give up too soon. If the muscles are a little sore, it's okay if you've never exercised. It's okay to be a little sore, but be smart about it. Listen to your body, build on the baby steps that you're creating, and then go from there. It is so easy to get discouraged when we're looking. Again, I'm going for social media, and especially now we're in the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's already saying, oh, the new you, the new body, the new this and that and the other. You're good enough as you are. You don't need to improve anything. Could you improve to be a little stronger, a little healthier? We all can. And it's an ongoing process as our body is saying, oh, no, 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 we're getting older. Not that easy, girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true, especially with all the outside um like Facebook or whatever the social medias are, the TVs, the magazines saying, "Oh, you should look like this. You should be able to do what Dolly Parton just did at the halftime show and get up there and look amazing at 77." And I'm just like, I don't look like that now. I'm not
But
going to do that at 77.
but people forget that Dolly's job is to look like that. That's her job.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's not our job to look like that. Our job are other things that we're doing in life. She's
Yeah.
dieting. She's probably had liposuction. She had probably plastic surgery. She's been practicing her voice, or she is just gifted from the get-go. Some women or men and too, they are just naturally that body type. And they
Right.
wonder what the fuss is all about because they always look like that, no matter what the age is. And no matter what Dolly did, good for her, you know?
Yeah.
But
Good for her. Good for
you
her.
can't, I would wish you don't measure yourself on that person. You can be inspired and say, wow, I'd like
Hmm.
maybe to learn how to
Hmm.
sing. Or
No, I'm inspired by her for just even getting up there and doing that because, more power to her and more power to women who are able to do things and make us all look amazing and that we can do anything. So I was very inspired by her.
yeah, you're looking at her and you're saying, oh, why isn't a much younger woman doing that whole halftime show? And that brings us into a completely different venue of the aging process.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
old. We're just viewed as old, and it's not as juicy and strong and as strong in our performances, which is so wrong. There's so many
Right.
beautiful things that we can bring to the table, and the things that we have learned in our past that bring us to that point. Because when you watch Dolly's movie, do you see how hard she worked to be where she is now? And she has every right at any age to earn what she's worked for all her life,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. No, total respect there. And that's a great thing. Like with women, we talk about midlife. Well, actually, what I was talking to you before we started recording was that we don't talk enough about it. There's not enough resources about women going through midlife or the menopause issues, the perimenopause. So I'm so grateful for your podcast that you are having those conversations with yourself, with your guests, and people can actually sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I've had that same situation, and learn from your podcast.
Yeah, that was very important to me, to provide that service and to provide these conversations for the listeners. And I continue with that also in the new year, focusing a little bit more on the mindset strategies that we need to adapt to move forward in the new year and in life, to let go of guilt, shame, the not enough. So the feeling of being stuck in a place and can't get out of that place. That's really, really important to me to bring to our listeners and to your listeners, that you're good enough, you're strong enough, you're smart enough. You don't have to look any different because you look great the way you are. If you want to fiddle with it and have some procedures done, hey, more power to you. That's your choice. But you're good enough as you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hold on one second. I just dropped my earpiece right down my shirt. It would have been more funny if I had a V-neck shirt on and it went
I was like, what
inside
I have
that
on. I
way.
was like, okay, goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, I did the cozy sweater today over top of regular shirt because it's just like cold today. So
I know.
that saved it. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to things. So Heike, tell us, if people want to learn more about you, your practice, what you do, where would they go to learn about that? And also tell us again the name of your podcast, because your podcast, people need to listen to it.
My podcast is called Pursue Your Spark, and that's also the name of my brand, Pursue Your Spark. And basically, you can find me everywhere on social media under my name, Heike Yates, HeikeYates. But I really want to encourage your listener to listen to my free special podcast episode that's nowhere else on any of my podcasts. And it's called How to Get Unstuck and Thrive. And this is
Ooh.
a half an hour recording that I put together to help you, the listener, to really change your thinking about what you do, how you do things, and how to thrive and let go and get unstuck, or start at least with that episode. It's only 30 minutes long, so it's easy to listen to on a walk or on a bike ride or whatever you're doing, or cooking. But I believe it's a very impactful episode that you can find on my website. So you just go on heikeyates.com and you'll see it as soon as you scroll down. It's the first tab for you to grab it and listen to that episode, and let me know how you resonate with it.
Yeah, and can empower you to, work on things that you want to work on.
Yep.
That's
It's
awesome.
some, yep.
Love it. Love it. Well, it sounds like you have a lot to offer everyone. I mean, I know I'm already a fan of your podcast. And I have a feeling you're not going to slow down anytime soon, but what do you see the vision of your retirement down the road?
Oh, down the road, this is always a little scary. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Retirement for me means that I continue to work, because doing what I do, I can do at any age. And I keep pivoting then, since midlife is a long time. I can
right,
be
right.
85, let's just give it a number, and still do what I do, but at a capacity that I feel more comfortable slowing down a little bit more, taking on fewer clients, offering fewer sessions one-on-one for coaching. But we have been dabbling with the idea of moving to Portugal.
Ooh,
Now,
fun.
we've been just kind of playing back and forth this summer. We went to Portugal just to check out if we like it, if we might want to retire there. And we
Mhm.
loved it. And
Mm.
so we have been thinking about maybe retiring Portugal. But before we do that, I told my husband, I want to live there for 6 months at the place where we chose and see if this is really what it is. Is this really what we think it should be? Instead of thinking, oh, this sounds great. Now we're going to go move there
Yeah.
and leave our friends
Yeah.
behind and our community behind and everything else behind. And so that's something we're dabbling with. And from your perspective as a wealth coach, we have a great portfolio that allows us to be able to do that. Would we have to sell our house here in Maryland? Yes, but that will be a different conversation then. But we planned ahead, invested our money, so as we get older, it grows and helps us support our aging process and our retirement. So Portugal, it may be in the books.
That is very cool. Very cool. And I love that, what you've done, all the building that you've done and the growing and the saving, it's literally giving you options for, you can ask the questions or answer the questions like, what do I want to do? And it's not like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. It's more about you have the freedom and are empowered to say, I've done all the right things. Now it's about what do I want to do?
Yep.
And I can. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
And then it goes back to the
Fantastic.
baby steps again, Regina. It's like,
Mhm.
because I'm very nervous about my money, and my husband convinced me that we should go a little bit riskier and invest a little more when we were younger to as we get older, so we can be now a little bit more conservative and reinvest our funds so that they keep growing with us less aggressively, but still nevertheless help us support our aging or our retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. And you turn it from a when you retire, you go from a paycheck to a playcheck, which is stolen from Tom Segna, I think it is. And it's a great saying because yeah, you do. You go to the playchecks then and you've done all the work to make sure that playcheck is there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Again, I am such a fan of your podcast, and I highly recommend that any person who is in the midlife area, especially women, tune in and learn a little bit because there's not a lot of good information out there. You can Google to your heart's content, it's not good. So, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much,
And thanks.
Regina.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. And you can follow me on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram at Forge Wealth and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. I would say your call to action today is to listen, to go to Heike's website and listen to that 30-minute episode so that you can see what you can do to help yourself. Thanks.